Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is the podcast show. I almost said the daily show. And this is the Fanatics Call In, where you guys get an opportunity to give all your opinions about South African cricket. And of course, we just have a sit back. I get to chat to all my friends about cricket. It's a perfect win-win solution for all of us, and it's a great world for you guys to be in. So what's going to happen today is obviously we're going to talk about the England tour, and of course, as per usual, at the beginning of the show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously have Aditya on the show to give a quick review of what happened on this weekend's of fixtures. But we have a jam-packed show for you guys today, so I hope you guys can just strap on your seatbelts and just enjoy the ride. It's going to be a lot of different opinions, a lot of different insights. We might have some heated debates. I'm really, really looking forward to this one. So let's just get started. I'm going to give some time to some of the other guys to join the stream as well, because we have quite a big panel for you guys. But we're going to start with the IPL and just the weekend fixtures. So I'm going to bring on Aditya onto the screen so that we can just have a quick review of what happened in the IPL. You guys ready? Because I am. So let's get ready to rumble. Before we get there, guys, don't forget, for the new guys that are here, don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell for all future videos. So let's bring on Aditya onto the stream. What's up, Aditya? How are you doing, brother?
Very good, man. A serious intro there.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm very excited. As you can see, I'm very excited about this show. I'm really amped for it. We have so many great panelists on the show today, and all different opinions. Some guys from England are coming on the stream as well, so I'm really excited about that. So, but I thought I'll give them some time to just calm down, and you can do your usual thing. I mean, we'd like to hear what you have to say about this weekend's fixtures. We spoke about the week's fixtures on Friday evening. You guys can go check, and it actually ended off quite serious when we started talking about transformation. We're going to try not to do that today. We try to keep it as just England tour orientated, because otherwise it's just going to get into a massive debate. But Aditya, floor is yours. Give us some insight into what happened this weekend.
Thank you. As I said to you on Friday, that the games in the week didn't really match the level of drama that we'd experienced the previous week. So I'm happy to report that all four games, two yesterday and two today, all had their fair share of drama and some remarkable performances, all of which I'm going to tell you. So most recent first, the game that just concluded right now was the Mumbai Indians versus the Rajasthan Royals. The Mumbai Indians posted 195 after 20 overs. They had a little bit of a lull in the middle overs, but then Hardik Pandya came in and smacked 60 of 21 balls. In the last 4 overs, they scored 74 runs. And given Rajasthan's form through the season, it almost felt like, and Mumbai's strong bowling attack, it almost felt like this would be an insurmountable total to chase down. But guess what? Rajasthan won by 8 wickets after Ben Stokes scored a phenomenal century, 107 60 balls, supported by Sanju Samson, who made 54 of 31. So serious upset right there. The game.
Our England friends are going to be happy about that.
Yes, they will. Ben Stokes has got some flack for not producing the sort of performances that we're used to seeing from him. Game this afternoon today. 3 South Africans on show. Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers, and Chris Morris. So Chennai Super Kings versus the Royal Challengers Bangalore, who batted first, and they posted 145 on what seemed to be a rather sluggish surface. Virat Kohli laboured to 50 from 43, and AB also, he scored 39 of 36, but he wasn't his usual sort of flamboyant self. And that was perhaps a reflection of the nature of the pitch. What really stood out in that innings was Superman Faf du Plessis catching. He took 3 catches, one of Devdutt Padikkal, fantastic catch, another of AB de Villiers, and third of Virat Kohli. So he's really snapped the big 3 of the Royal Challengers Bangalore. And had he not taken those catches, Chennai might have been chasing 170 instead of 145. And then he came in and he smacked 25 of 13 balls, a couple of sixes of Chris Morris. My goodness, outstanding. So, all round, very good day for Faf du Plessis. Not so good for AB de Villiers and Chris Morris, who went for runs, perhaps the first time this IPL.
You couldn't have summed it up better than that. I mean, there was one particular shot from Faf that really stood out to me when he did that paddle scoop right over his head. I was like, okay, Faf is there. He has that X
He's
factor we're
there.
talking about. We're ready for it.
He's
So
there.
we're obviously going to be talking about him in depth.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is, of course, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove you from the stream right now because I want to introduce everybody to what we're going to talk about today, and then we can bring you back on again later to give you a little say, because I want your opinion on South Africa and the tour to South Africa as well from England's perspective, etc. And how you as
Can I give one highlight though before we
yes, of
before
course
we
you
play?
can. Of course you
Okay,
can.
so one highlight I have to give, and this to me was the standout game of this weekend, which is between the Kings 11 Punjab and Sunrisers Hyderabad. Kings 11 got to 126 with no batsman really making it big in that innings, and it appeared as if as if Sunrisers Hyderabad would really sail through because they had a first innings partnership of 56 between David Warner and Johnny Bairstow, and they really got going. But then it just fell apart because the Sunrisers crashed from 56 for 1 to 67 for 3. Then they had a small partnership. They got to 100 for 4. And one would imagine that they'd really coast through and make 26. But from 100 for 4, they collapsed to 110 for 5 to 114 all out.
This is crazy. But the
So it was a
IPL
combination.
this weekend of IPL fixtures has been very strange though. Like I felt it
Unbelievable.
was close some of the games, but it wasn't what we expected from the other weeks. We scored some big scoring weeks the weeks before, and when it started off, and then obviously the bowlers have actually figured out how to do these things. But thanks a lot, Aditya, coming on the stream. We will bring you back on again afterwards to get everything going. So, guys, this is how we're going to be doing this show today. So, I'm going to bring on our panelists today because we're obviously going to be talking about the England tour. We had to just give a quick IPL review before we got going, and I waited for obviously more people to come onto the stream. So, you guys don't forget to obviously like and share and comment in the comment section for everything that you want to do. Share this to all your fans. Let's get involved in this because we really want to get into a discussion about the England tour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on the panelists one by one, and I'm going to give them opportunity to maybe just to give their little statement about what they're looking forward to with regards to this England tour. So without further ado, let me bring on our first panelist today. Let's bring on Mpo. Welcome to the show, brother, with your Arsenal top and all.
Gunners all the way is what we do. I hate late Sunday kickoffs, but anyway, England's coming.
England's coming, Paul. So obviously that's got really excitement for everybody over here. Just give us your statement on what you're looking forward to the most about this particular tour.
So I was thinking about this and trying not to necessarily be cliche and similar to everyone else, but I think from my perspective, I actually want to see how. Well, because obviously we played two ODIs and T20s in Newlands and one in Paarl. So what I'd like to see is how they manage how they manage a slow wicket, how the Proteas play on a slow wicket in Paarl for the ODIs and the T20s in preparation for the T20 World Cup in India in 2021, and also B in the ODI sphere, a World Cup in India in 2023, knowing how slow that Paarl wicket can be. It was similar to what we saw today in as Aditya was speaking about in that RCB Chennai game, where all of a sudden spinners are coming to the floor. So I want to see a Proteas lineup, and I'm excited if this can happen. A Proteas lineup that has a second spinner inside it. I think that would be something that would excite me a lot, especially looking towards the T20 World Cup.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly, just for you guys out there that don't know, I'm going to put up the fixtures on the screen for you guys to see what is happening. So obviously we've got all the fixtures on the screen for you over here. You know that we are playing three T20s, yes, and 3 ODIs. You can see the different venues. Obviously the ones in Cape Town, everybody's going to obviously look forward to the Newlands one. It's a pity. I'm not sure what's going to happen with fans and stuff like that. That doesn't seem like there's going to be anybody. It will be behind closed doors. So with regards to you guys... Yeah, with regards
no
to
one's
you guys,
going to stadium. Sorry.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. So what's going to happen is, so what I'm saying is, what we're going to do with regards to the fans is, I'm going to try to do as much as possible that you guys can get involved in. Maybe we can do some watch-alongs. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in maybe some watch-alongs. We won't be able to show the actual footage on the screen, but we'll be able to give some commentary for certain games, etc., throughout the game. If you are interested in doing that, we will try to get there as journalists and give you as much coverage as possible, of course. So let's bring on our next panelist, and this is a guy all the way from England and quite popular on the gram, as we say. We're going to bring Aaron on the stream. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing very well, Khalid. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And yeah, I'm not sure about popular on the gram. I mean, I think that's a bit too kind. But yes, thank you very much for the kind introduction. And of course, I'm looking very much forward to tonight.
Yeah. So as important, I want you to do some of the thing. Just give your quick preview, basically, of what you're really excited about for regards to this tour.
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna do it from an English perspective because I'm in my England ODI shirt tonight. But the fact is, I think the most exciting aspect for me in this series is going to be the eclectic mix of both youth and experience with England. You've got the likes of Root, Stokes, Morgan, Butler, and then we've got the likes of Tom Banton, Matt Parkinson, guys like that coming through the ranks. I'm really, really looking forward to see how these guys come together. And of course, if we can actually go ahead and win this series. When you look at the last time England played South Africa, it was a fantastic, fantastic encounter. We drew the ODI Series 1-1. We won the T20 Series 2-1. So either way, no matter what happens, I think there's going to be a lot of fireworks, a lot of excitement for the fans. And I personally cannot wait. Bring it on. Simple as that.
It's gotta be a mouth-watering clash. And before you get into the rebuttal with him, let's just get some more people on the show. Let's get the fire going, and then we can get into it. I mean, obviously, we know this guy. It's a pity that we can't have that Jimmy Anderson and Dale Steyn debates. But it's fine. It's fine. That's okay.
It's Anderson. You'll know it's Anderson.
Yeah, we'll have. Now we're going to be. We're obviously going to be having those. What we can be having is that KG and Jafra Archer debates, or maybe Andrich Nokia. I mean, we can just rattle off a lot of speedsters that can go 150.
Why is there a need for a debate when we know what the answer is?
Because we don't know. Because we know what Aaron thinks. You know, Aaron is a very.
There are people who live in a world that is. I don't know. It's.
Wait. I actually would agree with you. I do like Ravana. So I would go with Anderson. Anderson over Steyn.
I'm just throwing fire.
Simple as that.
Okay. That's for another day.
Before we get there. Let's see. Okay, now we've got Aditya. So Aditya is obviously massive fan. As you heard him before, he was talking about the IPL, of course, and he was talking about some of those guys. But I think he's going to come in as a neutral. It will give a nice balance. And as well, because he'll be looking at from an Indian perspective what he's going to look into the series. So I'm going to add him to the stream once again. Welcome again back, Aditya. Bro, give me your take. What are you most excited about when it comes to this tour? Are you going to be watching a lot of it if the possibility obviously arises for you? What are you looking forward for this tour?
Definitely. Incredibly excited. I think in this time we want to have as much international cricket as possible, but I also think that this is a good opportunity for South Africa to test its T20 team before the World Cup, wherever it happens and whenever it happens. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And we all know that England has an incredibly strong T20 team, and those guys are going to go hammer and tongs, from ball one. So I think they have. This is that test for South Africa to really sort of examine where they fit in the T20 international arena, and it's a good opportunity for them to sort of assess their strengths and weaknesses and work on what they need to improve on.
Mm-hmm. Awesome opening statement, and that's a good points made over here. Okay, so I'm gonna bring on the next guy, the next big dog. You've seen him recently on the latest streams. He's already becoming a fan favorite as well. I love his conversations with Mpo. I love the way they talk with such like measured points, measured arguments. I just love it. So here we're gonna go with Lububalo. We're gonna bring him on the stream right now. So welcome to the show, brother. And how are you doing? I love your tagline. Before we get to talking about that, why you've chosen that particular thing, just give your quick statement on what are you excited about, obviously, for this England tour.
Oh, yeah, hi guys. For me, it's okay. For me, I'm looking forward to see how the team is going to go in terms of selection. As we all know that we have a new convener of selectors, so I want to see the direction that the coaches and the new convener of selectors wants to take. I think the squad that they will select for this particular series will sort of give us an idea of how they're looking to go towards the future, building the team. As we all know that we were sort of in transition now, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Not really the results of the series, but I'm looking forward to seeing selection and how they select and the combinations from the squad to the playing 11.
Mm-hmm. What's going to be very interesting from my point of view is whether they're going to go with similar squad selections. Guys, I also want to ask you, like, because we're going to have a lot of people on the stream, if we can just mute and then obviously just unmute when you want to speak. You can just put your hand up when you want to say something. I'm fine with that. It's not going to look. It's going to look visually pleasing. Don't worry about it. It's like we're in a classroom, a virtual classroom. But so what I wanted to talk about is the squads. Are you guys more interested into having similar squads for the ODI and the T20 sides? I mean, obviously, we did selections with regards to that, where we picked two different teams. Obviously, a T20 squad for the World Cup, kind of, a team that you thought would be able to push through until the World Cup, and then obviously for the ODI sides that the fans selected, they went with a squad that could play for Vision 2023 World Cup. So they thought about the World Cup in mind. Let's start with the top of the screen. Let's start with Umpo. With your point of view, do you think that we should pick squads that are similar for the ODIs and the T20s of the series, of this tour?
I'm caught between two ideas here. I initially would like to have two squads, one of the ODI squad being slightly younger, with a longer runway with a view to 2023. However, because there's a lot of youngsters in the T20 squad that I'd also like to take to the World Cup, there's certain guys like KG, Lungi, who I'd like to, and Anu, who I'd like to also play in the ODIs as well. So it's and some of the batsmen as well. But I do think two squads, the ODI squad being a lot younger, there's not a lot to be playing for. So give the guys like Mark Ackerman, give Aiden an extended run in the ODI side, seeing maybe he can captain the side again and see how far it can go. And then the T20 squad, you have to look for next year. So you'll probably get I'd want AB and Faf in there. I'd want to see a top six that if we do have a World Cup, the first game of the World Cup, what is it going to look like? And there has to be a game in those three where we all know and we all can see what the 11 is going to look like. And I think that's very important in this fixture. Because if that 11, if there's a hole somewhere in that 11, it then gives the selectors an opportunity to try and plug it or find someone who can fit a certain role in there. And to a certain extent, that's why I think the ODI squad will work, because in the ODIs, you can also play situational cricket, which is something I want, especially in that second one, Paul, where you can be allowed a second spinner, because then you can actually try and figure out who could be your best situational bowler if we're gonna play that in the subcontinent in 2021. And so those are the type of things that we need that I'd like Graham and Co and Victor and everyone to consider.
Aaron, from your perspective, of course, with England, how has your team developed since that World Cup? Are you seeing a similar type of approach, that are they going to keep the same approach? What is your pick? What have you picked up with regards to the side?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, like Impo said rightly, I think in terms of England's ODI squad, we need to keep just an eye on 2023 as well. So that's why I mentioned also bringing through the youngsters. With regards to our approach, though, I don't know. I almost think we do need to evolve somehow, because when you look back to our ODI series in the summer, in particular the Australia series, teams are going to begin to pick up on this. They're going to begin to evolve and adapt themselves. So I would like to see a slight change in the way in which we approach games. Of course, I like the dynamic batting. I love that. But in terms of bowling, we need to take a lot more wickets in the power play, in particular the first power play overs 1 to 10. That's something I'm really looking out for in this series. And we have the weapons to do that. I've mentioned Matt Parkinson, great young spin bowler, Chris Wokes, David Willey, Saqib Mahmood as well could be another option. So that's what I'm really looking out for in this series from an ODI perspective. With regards to T20, again, as in Poe says, I'm looking with one eye on next year. So I'm looking for fast, dynamic players. I'm looking for a finisher as well, because if we're going to open with Josh Butler, we're going to need someone at that 5 or 6 role who can complement either Ben Stokes or maybe Sam Billings as well. So again, a lot to look out for in this series. I think the squad selection is going to be very interesting. But for me personally, I do think it would be nice to see that mix of the experienced old guard and the youngsters also coming through to complement them.
Lubabala, from your perspective, what do you have to say with regards to what Aaron has said now?
With us, I'm more leaning towards what Umpo said. But for me, it's I'd like to see us build beyond 2023. I know 2023 is the World Cup, right? But I'd like us to build beyond that, because if you're saying you're building for 2023 in ODIs, what happens after the World Cup? Are you going to start building again? And then after the next World Cup, are you going to start building again? So you'll always be building after every World Cup. So for me, in ODIs, I'd say let's build. Yes, we're building towards the World Cup, but we want to go beyond the World Cup. So you want to do well at the World Cup. You want to win it, of course, but you still want to be able to have a team that can carry on beyond the World Cup, like England has now. They won the World Cup, but they've still been able to perform beyond the World Cup. So in ODIs, for me, I'd also like to see a younger squad, because I don't think guys like Faf will still be playing ODI cricket in the next 12 months or so. So I'd like to see Ackerman, definitely Mpo, that's my boy. In T20s, I'd like to see. We don't have a lot of games building up to that World Cup, so I'd like to see a sort of straightforward approach. Pick your best 15 that you're considering for the T20 World Cup, then try and see your combinations there. It's a good thing that we're playing at PAL. That's where we're going to be able to actually see which are the 2 spinners that we can use going to the World Cup. So for me, ODIs, let's build beyond 2023. I don't mind seeing 11 new guys play against England in ODIs. We've seen what guys like Kagiso Rabada can do in ODIs. We've seen what Quinton de Kock can do in ODIs. So there isn't really much a need for those guys to play, because I think this is one of the things where that led to us finding ourselves where we are now. We get so comfortable with having these great players who are performing that we go into every series trying to win it. We forget that those players are going to get to a point where they need to retire. But we haven't given the younger guys a chance to come in and sort of learn from those players. Because if you can look at how many youngsters we used when we had AB and we had Hash, we didn't use so many youngsters. Now they're gone. We don't have anyone who can say, okay, I got some experience with being in the same change room as AB de Villiers. So now we're in a trouble. We're in a position where the transition, it's a full-blown transition, because we have a lot of youngsters that still need to come through and things like that. So that's why for me in ODIs, build towards 2023, but also look beyond 2023. T20s, let's try our combinations. Let's pick a squad that we're gonna use for the World Cup, and then see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I think that after the World Cup,
after
the World Cup, Faf was done. I think Faf is now done with ODIs. I don't think they will pick him for ODIs. And Tahir as well, done. JP obviously retired as well. So Steyn, I think also he's done with ODIs. I don't think they're going to give them more opportunities. I had people obviously on Facebook saying, why is this person not in and what is that been? I think Umpo was right when he was saying build a young squad. But Umpo, you could have a few points that you wanted to say.
So here's a point to Lubabala's point, and I agree with that. We have to look beyond that, and looking beyond. The reason why I said World Cup was because Boucher's contract ends then. So from a coaching perspective and a mindset perspective, Boucher will want a squad to go to 2023. But here's the trick. Enoch's been promised the job post Boucher, right? So then why can't you let Enoch coach that 11 or that 15 that plays in the ODI filled with youngsters who we haven't seen? So the Rickletons, the Fantonders, the Marks Ackermans, those types of kids, and Tando Ntinis, Luto Sapamla can even go into that bracket there as a kid who we'll see in 2027 or wherever it is. And I think that could help all the guys who were named in that Powerade under SAA squad, developmental squad, that was high performance squad that was selected this week. Those guys should be playing in the ODI series, coached under Enoch Nkwe to build the relationship, to build the values. We're building a train, similar type of thinking, similar type of culture. So why not just make it one fluid culture to say, Boucher looks at T20, Enoch will look at ODIs for now, with the view of 2023, but to get guys in and give guys an opportunity, because you never know, 100 could give a person an opportunity to play in another series and stake a claim for that for a spot in the World Cup in 2023.
Yeah, Luvalo.
Okay, mine's a bit of a side note, because I heard something that Mpo mentioned. I think we continue to shoot ourselves on the foot as South African cricket. If they've promised Enoch the job after 2023, what happens if Mark Boucher wins the World Cup? Same thing that happened to Ray Jennings. Same thing that happened to Coach Ray Jennings. He won the World Cup, but they had already decided to move on from him. And now you get people asking questions, but why did you let him go and things like that? But so for me, I feel it was a bit short-sighted to sort of plan it like that. In 2020, you already decided that in 2023, after the World Cup, this is the coach that we want.
Remember, Luvalo, we were very angry. We were very angry at what happened to Enoch. We were very angry. And this is the compromise.
It's their short-sightedness. It's their short-sightedness. If they really wanted to have Enoch, he should be the one coaching now. Because now
that's what we said.
That's what a lot of people were saying.
It's going to be a mess if we happen to win the World Cup. It's going to be a big mess. We all know that. If we happen to win the World Cup and then they say, no, thank you, Mark. We already decided in 2020 that you're not going to coach beyond 2023. That time, Mark Boucher is a World Cup winning coach. So it's going to blow up in their faces.
And what happens if Shukri Conrad wins? What happens if Shukri Conrad wins the Under-19 World Cup? And then what? Huh?
There's a line, guys. There's a line. Enoch deserves his chance. There's a line. Graham created the line. He's leaving 6 months before the World Cup. That's when his contract's ending. It's just going to be a nightmare for the final 6 months towards the World Cup.
Yeah. So let's bring on another panelist. He's ready at the back here, waiting with a little bit of a diss to Aaron, of course, as per usual. You know, he always gets that every single time he's on the stream. Welcome to the show, Ravi. Ravi, what we're kind of doing at the moment is just you give your statement, just what you're excited about for this England tour. So let's go.
Okay. All right. So firstly, Aaron, welcome to the show. In case you weren't aware, South Africa are the Rugby World Cup champions at the moment. I'm holding on to that little shred of light because, unfortunately, from a cricketing point of view, things haven't been looking so great. So rugby for the win, cricket not so much.
Sorry, I understand.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
About the England tour, what are you most excited about for the England tour?
I'm absolutely excited. I think I share the sentiments with Luvalo and Mpo in that I'm looking forward to seeing a wealth of young talent come in. And I think that this is going to be our time to shine. It sounds like a very naive statement to make, but we got some really good youngsters in the country at the moment that are playing a superb brand of T20 and limited overs cricket. And I think that the guy that I'm actually looking most forward to seeing is, apart from Yanaman Malan, is the one-day international Themba Bavuma. Because for me, he's a sublime player. He's impressed me significantly against Australia particularly. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play a bit against these guys on this particular tour and hoping for the best. I think this is going to be a great entree, an audition, if you will, to the events of next year.
Mm-hmm. Now, Aditya, you were sitting there so patiently. I just want to ask you one question before we go back to Aaron again. If you were England, who would you be most afraid of with regards to the South African team in the T20 setup? Let's just do the T20 setup for now, because obviously we were all agreeing basically that we have to have like a youngish side. in the ODI side. Maybe we can have a discussion a little later of who we would pick in that ODI squad or in that ODI 11, etc. But Aditya, from the T20 perspective, who would you be most afraid of? Anything.
From batting point of view, Quinton de Kock, of course, he's always a dangerous player, and irrespective of format, he's always a dangerous player. Kagiso Rabada and Andre Nokia, definitely. And assuming Fafanavia included, definitely those two. So yeah, it's a dangerous squad. If you pick these 5 players, they'd be worried about half the team, and it won't be so easy to win because now these guys have got a fair bit of IPL practice, whereas now England have had a break. And apart from Stokes, Archer, Butler, and Morgan, the rest have been rested for quite a while. So they're going to be rusty, whereas these guys are going to be in form.
Aaron, same question to you.
In terms of, well, first of all, just before I make my point, I would just like to remind Ravi of what happened on the 14th of July 2019 at Lords. But yeah, moving on to my point then. That was when England won the World Cup. But which South Africa are yet to do, Ravi, by the way, in cricket. But with regards to the point then, obviously Quinton de Kock is an absolute gun. He's a magnificent batsman. It'll also be interesting to see his leadership as well, because that's another aspect of his game that's going to be tested in this series. So definitely Quinton. In terms of the bowlers, I suppose the 3 seamers, isn't it really? Henrik Nortje, Kagiso Rabada, Lungi Ngidi. And someone who would be really interesting, I think, is Tabraiz Shamsi. How big of a role he's going to play. He offers that, almost X factor with his left arm wrist spin. So I would say, I know I've just listed the entire bowling attack there, basically. I think Rabada's obviously the focal point. I do think Nortje and Shamsi are going to be 2 almost X factor elements of that South African lineup, though.
There's some people that even said that maybe Shamsi couldn't even make the side. Some people are putting in other people, like with regards to Keshav. Some people are saying that we need an extra spinner with regards to Imran Tahir with a spin. They're leaving Shamsi out of that side and maybe putting in a batting spinner in the side. There's a lot of variations over there. We've got callers waiting for us. I said callers, but it's one call. So it's the twins. Obviously, if they are ready, they can put on their camera and let me know if they're ready, and we'll bring them on the stream to give their say. Robert Bala, before they get going, what would you like to say? Is there anything else you want to add to what Aaron said?
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate for a while. I know a lot of people won't like this, but my question is, I've heard a lot of people saying this, and it's justifiable, to be honest. He's scoring runs, he's performing. A lot of people saying AB coming back, but I just want to ask if we are aware of the fact that if AB comes back into the team, a certain David Miller might have to miss out, or even a Rassi might have to miss out. For me, it's between the 2 of them. One of them has to miss out for if AB comes back. So now my question is, who are you leaving out between the 2? And
That's easy.
I don't want you guys to answer that.
Or are you gonna go the route of dropping? Are you gonna go the route of dropping an all-rounder? Mind you, we are saying we want AB de Villiers back. We're also saying we want Chris Morris back. I don't believe we have enough room for the 2 of them, because we still need to have not just 2 spinners. You need 2 frontline spinners, and you also need a 3rd spinner that can bat. Because you need to have more than 2 spinning options. So if you're saying we're picking Imran Tahir, definitely is going to be in the team. Who's our second spinner? Has to be Shamsi. He's our top-ranked spinner in T20s. And now, who's the spinning all-rounder that we're going to pick? We know Chris Morris can't ball spin, AB can't ball spin. So if you want both of them to come in, you need to drop one of the batsmen.
Okay, before you guys get into that, hold on to your answers, because I really want the twins to give an answer to this. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds just to think about it before I bring you on. But welcome to the show, girls. I just want to ask you, obviously you've heard what people have said over here about AB de Villiers. Are you excited, or would you want to see him back into the side?
I think at this point we are both split. I think Janine thinks yes, and I think no. for various reasons. I think so. Well, for me, it's a no. It's a no from me.
Why would you
Also,
say before Jenny? Why would you say no for AB?
well, I think he's proven himself quite well, especially in IPL. Like, it's an understatement. But I think returning to the team or to the squad, I don't think it's gonna happen though. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's not gonna happen. I don't know.
And you say yes?
Well, exactly, basically the opposite. Well, the same reasons why. I mean, he's proved himself quite well. Well, obviously they lost against CSK, but I mean, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But also, I don't know. I'm also kind of leaning into a no, but maybe he can still kind of do some damage. I think.
But
For isn't it like weird that he did retire and then he comes back? I don't know. For me, that's a bit weird. I don't know. Do people usually do that?
So that's the reactions I want everybody to. I wanted everybody to see the faces on the screen when she said that. So Ravi, you're putting up your hand like a Hermione Granger in flipping potions. So let's go. Let's go with you.
How dare you compare me to Hermione Granger? And secondly, Janine, I'm going to give you the Paul Pogba finger wave, right? That what he does with the ref. I'm going to do that. And lastly, Lubabalo, I've been waiting for Miller time since 2010. I've been sitting there waiting for Miller time. Nothing has happened since 2010, except for that one innings against Bangladesh. All the years is a glorified fielder who can slog a bit, right? In my opinion, I think there's some great guys in the country that can fulfill that role, right? Great player. He always performs well in the IPL, but he doesn't seem to do it for South Africa. I've never seen him score a match-winning innings other than the one against Bangladesh about 2 years back. Yeah. As for AB de Villiers, the man is a champion. The guy is a glorified champion. I will happily open the door for him. I think he's the kind of guy that can certainly change the game on its head. Rassie van der Dussen, there's no question in my mind that he deserves a spot. He's been a superb player, especially in the 2019 World Cup, though. As much as we would like to forget that tournament for many a reason, I'm sure Aaron wouldn't want to forget it ever. But the reality is Rassie van der Dussen was a standout player for that tournament, for me at least. And I wouldn't go into this tournament without him. As for Miller, you all can wait for Miller time as much as you all want. I'm certainly not going to do that. But thankfully for you guys, I'm not the convener of selectors. And I have the numbers on.
So in your 7 batsmen at the World Cup, Ravi, you are dropping David Miller, keeping our friend Rassie, and so it's Quinton, it's Temba opening, it's Faf and AB, and then who are your other 3? Rassie's there, so it's for who are the other 2 batsmen?
So you're talking about like the openers, or that you're asking for a specific order?
Your squad. You'd normally take 7 batsmen. Who are your other 2?
Well, look, Yanaman without question. I'll happily take him, and of course Temba Bavuma as well.
No, so we've already named Temba and Quinton. So Yanaman's who's the 7th guy? Or Lubabalo, you can come in, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. A bit harsh on Faki there. We've seen killer Miller time every now and then, but I think Ravi's being a bit harsh on Miller, and he's being too kind to AB de Villiers. Look at AB's IPL record and compare it to his international T20 record, and then you'll see that there's a bit of a double standard there with judging Miller and judging AB. You said we've seen Miller scoring runs in the IPL, but we see AB scoring runs in the IPL every when it comes to T20 internationals for South Africa. He's sort of a different AB to the guy that we see in the other in the IPL. For me, I don't know. I agree with one of the twins. I wouldn't go back to him, to be honest. He's had his time. He's played in T20 World Cups before. A World Cup in our cabinet. He doesn't even have IPL title. So I don't know why we are so sold that if he comes back, we're going to win the World Cup. I don't know where the whole idea comes from.
Can I jump in here quickly? I'm on team. Let's not take AB to the World Cup. But I know that based on the team and the selection committee and the WhatsApp group, AB's going. So we need to find a place for him. And that means between Yanaman and Rassi, I think those two are the ones who might not make it to the World Cup. And largely because I've watched this with the Josie Stars with Rassi and Temba and Chris Gale and Rickleton. Rassi was the guy who ended up sliding down the order to accommodate Temba, Ryan Rickleton, and Chris Gale. And I didn't like that because I felt that Rassi should be batting higher up and should be batting at 3, especially in a T20 context. So from that perspective, AB takes away a top order batsman, and the middle to lower order hitters, power hitters, that brings in your Dwayne Pretorius's, your Chris Morris's, and to a certain extent, from a batting perspective, David Miller. Mark Sackman could come in there as a lower order hitter, but that's what the series is for. And that's what I think you should get going into the series. I think Aditya on mute. And Khalid's on mute as well. Everyone's on mute.
Sorry, sorry, Ravi. Ravi, can you just get some earphones, please, man? Because I think there's some crackle coming through on your side when you put on your line, if it's cool. Then you can come back onto the stream again. But Aditya, you wanted to say something? I know you're waiting patiently again.
Yeah, bursting. I think you know my stance on whether AB should be back in the South African team or not. And in my case, I think it's an unequivocal no. Yes, he should. He absolutely should be back in the team. There is no question about it. I'd shared my batting order with you a couple of days ago, and I feel like there needs to be clarity with respect to roles, because you look at virtually every single international team, the most changes they make, the most shuffling happens when they play a T20 international. There is very little stability in a T20 international team because, frankly, teams don't play it all that much. It's like you play 2 games at the end of a series, and you have your key players rested because they've already had like a strenuous test series and an ODI series. So you look at your T20 international squad, and there are at least 4 or 5 new players. So that's not, in my view, that's not a great way to sort of assess the strength of a team or assess the role of a player in the team. And that is why I think in the South African team, you need to have Quinton and Faf opening the batting. You have AB 1 down. You have Rassi at number 4. You have Aiden Markram at number 5. You have David Miller at 6. And then you have your all-rounders. So I know this is probably like a radical solution, but you need to have your most experienced player. You need to have Quinton, Faf, and AB because they've played the most cricket in India. These guys have been playing in India for at least the last 6 or 7 years. And in India, when you have a T20 international, you definitely have a spinner bowling in the power play. And I don't think that there is another South African batsman who is equipped to deal with high quality spin within that period.
It's going to be very interesting to see if they're going to have transformation for this particular World Cup. I mean, we're not going to go into transformation talk.
No ways. There has to be. But anyway,
because for the last World Cup, they said that they're not going to take transformation targets into consideration for the last World Cup. So they said that they're going to try to pick their best team. So I don't know if they're going to do that for that. I think for series leading up to it to give opportunities, obviously maybe yes. But Paul, what do you think of what Aditya said of having that type of?
I think Aditya's batting lineup is too high. I think you need to shift it 1 down and take 1 batsman out. Rassi batting at 5 makes no sense. No sense to anybody in the game. Rassi getting 5 overs, even at 4. So Aditya, you can unmute. But you said it was Quinton, Faf opening, AB
AB.
at 3. Who was at
Rasi
4?
at 4. Rasi at
And
4.
then 5 and 6. Who's
5.
5?
Aiden and David Miller.
Ooh.
Aiden Markham and David Miller. They can float.
I disagree. I don't think Aiden should bat that low. I don't think because if you think about it, your guy who bats at 5 needs to bat for the last 5 to 7 overs. And I don't think Aiden has it in his locker to be in India to be able to do that. So I say shift the batting order down. I don't mind you promoting Aiden Markham. I love Aiden. Aiden's a friend of mine, but I don't think in a Proteas T20 side, Aiden Markham should be in right now. I don't think he's proven us as much. I think he's a great guy, but he should open if you want to play him in the side. I'd say shift everyone down. So it's Quinton and Temba. Temba's shown that he's good enough to play at this level, especially against England. He showed us what he's made of. And then you've got Faf at 3, AB at 4, and that needs to be interchangeable depending on the situation. Because that's the problem with South Africa. They always kept AB too late at times, whereas sometimes if your wicket falls in the 10th over, I'd rather you put AB in and hold and not necessarily use Faf, but Faf and AB 3 and 4, depending on how they feel. And then at 5, you can have David Miller. And then at 6, that's where your first all-rounder needs to come in, depending whether it's your bowling all-rounder or your batting all-rounder. And it has to be a guy who can bat for 6-7 overs. Chris Morris has shown us that he can do it, but he can only, he can, he needs the ability to be able to control himself or to take the team deep. And so we need to find a guy. Mark Ackerman's a great guy because he can bowl a bit, but I think for me, that's where your all-rounder comes in at number 6, because you've also got someone there. Heino Klaasen works there, but I don't see the need to take a guy like Heino Klaasen to the World Cup when you've already got Quinton de Kock. But that's how I'd see it. I would never play Ras.
Yeah, Labubalo, what do you want to say?
I just want a quick one. The issue with trying to force players back into the team is you have to treat the other players badly. I'll just be blunt here. The issue with trying to force an AB de Villiers back into the side, you will have to treat Temba Bavuma badly. He's performed, but you'll have to drop him. Why? What are the bases of dropping Temba Bavuma, who's been playing international cricket and has been scoring runs in T20 internationals? Just because AB de Villiers is back. You'll have to drop Haney. Klaasen has been scoring runs as well. What are the bases that you'll be dropping him on? No, we need to make way for someone who's just come back. That's one thing I personally don't agree with. From a supporter's point of view, from a coaching point of view, I'd rather say T20s against England. Let's just use those as sort of a measure. First preference, Temba's opening, Henrik Klaasen is playing. If they fail to perform, you drop one of them, you bring AB back, he scores runs, then you at least have reasons to say, well, he makes the team based on this. My other question is, players who've played international cricket, do you judge them based on their domestic performances, or do you judge them on the last international game they played? Do you judge them based on their international stats, or do you judge them based on their domestic stats? For me, it's if you've played international cricket, your domestic performances only tell me about your form. They do not tell me about the kind of player you are in international cricket. So my point is, if you average 20 international cricket after 50 matches, I don't care what your average in domestic cricket is after 5 matches. It does not tell me about you as an international player. It only tells me about your form. And that's my point on AB de Villiers. So he can average 200 in the IPL. It doesn't say anything about him as an international cricketer. It says something about his form. We also need to remember the kind of bowling that he faces in India. In the IPL, how many quality bowlers do you face in one single match? We need to be honest with ourselves. How many international players do you face, international bowlers do you face in a single match in the IPL? I think those are some of the things that we really need to ask ourselves. If we're saying a David Miller has scored plenty of runs in the IPL, but he's not done anything in international cricket, what are we saying about AB de Villiers? Has he done anything in international T20s?
I'd like to add one more. One guy was taken to the World Cup because of a domestic flurry of runs, and I disagreed completely. No, it was Aiden
Not
Markram.
Rasik.
I disagreed. It was between Aiden and Reza to go to the World Cup. I said take Reza because he has a slightly better international form, and everyone went for Aiden because he went and scored 500s in Momentum One Day Cup, and I just didn't care. And look what happened.
Aditya, you put up your hand over there. What did you want to say on that factor?
Again, if we're talking about T20 international stats, I don't think we can look too much into T20 international stats because there isn't a lot of continuity going in there. You look at Virat Kohli, for example. Okay, he averages 50 in T20 internationals, but he's put in a couple of performances where he's taken the team home. And now Virat Kohli is a sort of player who has the pedigree to walk into just about any playing 11. But the thing is that Virat Kohli chooses to be rested for T20 internationals, and that's the case with many key players in virtually every single team in the world. Secondly, in 2016, when South Africa was playing in the T20 World Cup in India, Russell Domingos said that AB de Villiers is better off post the 12th over of a game because his T20 international stats suggest that he's better when the game is set up for him. You look at his role in the IPL. He has set up games for RCB. He has finished games for RCB. Now, it's not like he becomes a totally different player when he plays T20 internationals for South Africa. It's just that his role is not well defined. And I think that's the challenge. You look at Faf du Plessis in this season of the IPL. He's played at number 3 and he's been in the first 7 games. He's averaged 94. I think that sort of proves my point that he should be there either opening or number 3. My preference is opening, but yeah, that's it. I rest my case.
I don't agree with you, AD, there when you say we can't read too much into T20 international stats. Because right now we are judging players based on how they're doing in the IPL. For me, the IPL is not the standard. I'll just be honest there. It's another domestic tournament for me. It's just another domestic tournament. It's not the standard. The only time I will judge a player based on their IPL performances is when they have 0 international caps. I judge players based on the highest level they've played, not based on the lowest level they've played. That's just me. So for me, if we're gonna say you're a great player, but we're only mentioning your onslaughts in the IPL, yet you've played T20 internationals, it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
So does that mean we must call JP Dumini back from retirement then?
Well, he's our most successful T20 batsman. Yes.
I'm asking.
Bring JP back, please. We need someone to bowl spin in India, please.
There's your number 6 right there, staring you in the face, but he's commentating. And we're focusing on a guy who's been to how many World Cups? How many T20 World Cups? Are we going to give him one more? No, guys. No, guys, I'm sorry.
JP doesn't want to come back.
So I know that for a fact, because of all the press conferences that you've seen, that Graham Smith, as well as Mark Boucher, like AB de Villiers, of course, who doesn't, and really would want to see him back. And if he wants to be back, they will put him back in the side. My whole argument about AB was always he needs to show intent. He can't just rock up the week before the World Cup and say, I want to play for the World Cup, or a month before the time. What he needs to do is say, now, I want to play international cricket again. Let me play in the England series. Let me show that I have the ability, and then bring him back into the side, not just force him in. Aaron, you're hearing us debate about this. If it was you in that position, what would you do?
For South Africa, for this series alone,
well,
I wouldn't play him. Because I don't want England's bowlers having to face an AB onslaught, simple as that. I know that's really biased. But yeah, for this series, we're talking this series, not the T20 World Cup. I don't fancy seeing an AB masterclass against
Thank you.
England. Okay, put whoever else in. I'll tell you someone who was very interesting though, and I believe it was Poe who mentioned him, Heinrich Klaassen. We haven't really spoken a lot about him, but he performed really well against England last time. Had that magnificent knock at Supersport Park. So I'll just throw open the floor again for this, hopefully generate another debate about Heinrich Klaassen and another man. We've been talking about JP Duminy, John Smuts, another one who performed in the Australia ODI series. He is a bowling all-rounder who offers you that spin option. What are your guys' thoughts on those two?
Like, I want to say something on this because we were talking about the levels of obviously bowlers in the IPL, etc. Like Lubabala made a decent point about how many top bowlers do you actually see bowl, international bowlers do you actually face within an IPL game. What about the Mzansi Super League? Because when Owen Morgan came down here, he spoke about the Mzansi Super League, and there's quite a lot of international bowlers that bowl to you. There wasn't, I think there was a far less actually, because of the South African talent in this country, a lot of them have the ability to be able to play for international cricket. We have so many talented bowlers in this country that could possibly rival a lot of the guys that are there already. So we saw the likes of Vian Lubber, for example, and he said that one of the favorite bowlers, one of the best sixes that he's hit was against Dale Steyn. He said the favorite bowler, one of the best performances he had was against Dale Steyn. To hit Dale Steyn around like that, okay, I mean, international, the form that he was in that Mzansi Super League, it must have been quite a feat. And the players that he's played against, he would have played against the likes of KG, he would have played against the likes of some of the top bowlers in the world. I mean, we have some of the top bowlers in the world in South Africa. He's also would have faced the likes of Udana and those type of guys that have that caliber. So from me, Mzansi Super League form should be considered, I think. It gives them an edge if they could show that they play the Mzansi Super League. I don't know what you guys think about that. Who wants to go on that topic?
I will, purely because if you're going to go off MSL form, why can't you go off IPL form as well? Because we mentioned, look at Rajasthan tonight. They potentially do have quality bowl. Well, maybe not tonight, actually. I suppose they went for quite a few runs. But you look at other bowling attacks in the IPL. Look at Mumbai, for example, then. Mumbai are a fantastic example. Jasprit Bumrah, Trent Bolt, Nathan Coulter-Nile, who's played for Australia, James Pattinson, who's played for Australia and in the Big Bash. Why can't you take into factor IPL form then? If you can factor in Mzansi Super League form, that's the only thing I would question. I understand your point.
I wouldn't.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Because, so if you're looking at guys as Lubabalo's point was, if I haven't played international cricket, look at the IPL, look at the MSL. But if you've played international cricket, you've got a sample size, a large enough sample size to make a call. So here's the thing. Heinrich Klaassen, as you've named, should be playing for the Proteas at the next World Cup, but he won't be because we're fascinated with guys who are playing in the IPL. And also John Smuts as well. Yes, maybe you could say the ship has gone with him and slightly sailed with him, but he's an option as a bowling all-rounder, spin bowling all-rounder. But I know Lubabalo doesn't like John Smuts. But that's what it is. But we're fixated with guys who are playing in the IPL who are being bowled to by guys who aren't necessarily that great. And they've played international cricket before. And just based on that, I wouldn't pick certain people because they haven't proven to us in the most important moments we've needed in this country to step up. So why must we go back to them?
No, I'd agree with that. I think that's perfectly valid.
So Twins, you put up your hand. Do you want to say something about this topic or something else you want to say?
No, I'd like to actually just give a comment on that topic. So earlier someone mentioned that we shouldn't look at the IPL, obviously, to look at the performance of our players and seeing whether they'll be fit for the England team or matches. So, look, we can maybe even look at, unfortunately, we have to go back to the 2019 World Cup. What if we look at that squad against England? Yes, okay, we didn't do too great against them. But if we can look at, some of the players who did, some of the bowlers. I know Imran Tahir is probably retiring from ODI, but in the T20 squad, if we can look at them, maybe we can look at playing, what's the word? Their techniques, yes, and then see how we can kind of improve in that. Because look, obviously the England squad is also not going to be the same as it was in 2019. I mean, we will see Jofra Archer there, and he's not going to hold back. So I think if we can look at that maybe and look, how can we improve? What are their strategies? How could they change certain things? Maybe, I don't know. That's just, and also like IPL is also a good spot to kind of see these players at their best and then know, okay, to look out for, aka Sam Curran and such players. Yeah, I think is he English? Sam Curran is English, right?
No, it's
Yeah.
Is he Australian? English.
Oh.
No, it's English.
It's English.
Yeah.
He's English.
Zimbabwean to be
Okay.
precise.
To be yes.
Hang on. He's not Zimbabwean. He's born in Northampton. That's about 30 minutes
Northampton,
away
yeah.
from me.
Look
So
at you know
close.
what?
was born in Cape Town.
The current
Let's get the Karens on the line.
current story is very confusing to me, because if you look at the timelines where they were born and everything, it was just like all over the place. I was like, yes, it's when did what happened? Where did they keep up? But I also want to mention something over there. What I want to mention something there based on what the girl said. That World Cup is a very good indicator to tell certain things. So how certain players played under pressure. We mustn't forget that Faf was actually quite good in that World Cup with regards from a batting point of view. We kind of forget that because of the captaincy and the way South Africa played. But from a batting point of view, he did pretty decently. He was actually our top batsman at the tournament. I know Chris Morris stood out, but Chris Morris stood out as a strike bowler because we lacked a lot of fitness from our strike bowlers. So KG obviously wasn't fully fit. Lungi Ngidi wasn't fully fit. Andrik Nokia wasn't even there. So that's a good indication, and it's true what the twins said from that perspective. But Lubala, I see you put up your hand. Is there something you want to add to that?
Just a quick one. I just want to explain what I said. I'm not bashing the IPL. I'm just saying for me it's sort of like, let's say you want to pick a test batsman for South Africa. You won't go down to semi-pro. You also won't judge players based on their semi-pro performances, but you'll judge them based on their 4-day cricket performances before you pick them for the national team. So what I'm basically saying is, I'm not saying the IPL is all that bad, but I'm saying I refuse to judge players that have played international cricket. I refuse to judge them based on the lowest level they've played. So I judge you based on the highest level that you've played. So if you've got 0 international caps, your performances in the MSL, IPL, or any other T20 league, they count. But if you've played international cricket, it's more how you played in international cricket that counts. Because I'll be honest with you, look at JP Duminy in Test cricket, for instance. Remember when he was dropped, how many runs did he score in 4-day cricket? 200, batting at 4 for the Cobras. He was dropped this week. Next week, he scored 200 runs for the Cobras. He was called back, didn't score even a 50. Sometimes some players will be too good for domestic cricket, but not good for international cricket. It's normal. It's okay for that to happen. Not everyone's going to be good enough for international cricket. I'm not saying JP was not good enough. I have my own theory. I feel we didn't use him in the right position, but never mind that. With the other thing is, when it comes to T20 cricket, I've always felt our selection is always based on names rather than what we want from certain players. Let's say you have a Quinton de Kock opening with Temba. You know, with Temba, Temba's going to stay there, but he's also going to try and score quickly. But he, unlike Quinton de Kock, he's not going to necessarily go after the bowlers. What do you expect from your number 3? What do you expect from your number 4? What do you look at when you pick your T20 batsman? Do you look at average? Do you look at strike rate? Do you look at the dot ball ratio or things like that? Or do we just see, oh, David Miller scored runs for Kings Punjab, then he definitely has to make it into the team? Because I feel like when it comes to T20 cricket, it's not necessarily about the number of runs that you score. It's not necessarily in Test cricket. It's definitely about the number of runs you score in an innings. But in T20 cricket, it's not necessarily about the number of runs you score, but sometimes it's how you score the runs and when you score the runs, at what rate you score the runs.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Now we got another caller in the back end. I just want to bring him on quickly to say a few words and talks. If you're ready, just give me a thumbs up. If you can hear me, cool.
I think Mpo needs to excuse himself.
Yeah, Mpo, I know you need to go watch the Arsenal game. You want to leave the stream now? That is also cool. We can have a part 2 next week. Cool. Thanks, Mpo.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Ben. So, in talks, just give me a quick summary of you've heard everything that we're saying. I saw you sitting in the back end for quite some time there. What would you like to say, bro?
Well, for me, what I'd like to add concerning the T20 squad, I think it's unfair to say Miller can't be included in a T20 squad, international T20 squad. I mean, the guy has proven himself in the international T20 squad. But I have a problem with the opening batsman choosing Quinton de Kock and Temba Bavuma. For me personally, I cannot play Temba Bavuma as an opening batsman. I don't see Temba Bavuma because first and foremost, you want to maximize the first 6 overs of the power play, which really determines where the match is going. So if you have a batsman that cannot maximize, the first 6 overs of the power play, then you are sure that the game is going to be lost by the batting team. So I wouldn't play Temba Bavuma as an opening batsman. I'll go for Henrik Klassen with Quinton de Kock. Then on the third, someone that will not be, you don't want a lot of dot balls in this thing in the IPL. So I would go for a guy like Faf du Plessis, a guy that is good in rotating strike. And then obviously I'll go for AB de Villiers at number 4. And then at 5, I can go with Miller. That would be my top 5 of my T20 squad.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ntox, for coming on the show and giving your say. We're going to debate that a little bit now, but thanks a lot for coming on the show, bro. Thanks a lot for coming on. Guys, who wants to dig into that? But before we get digging into that, I will actually dig into that, and then I want to get into some of the comments in the comments section. So who wants to go? Get this put on you. Aditya, you can go first.
So look, personally, I like Temba, but I sort of agree that he shouldn't be opening the batting. And I know it might be the unpopular view, and I guess a part of my view comes from a lot of the success that some of the South Africans have had in the IPL. Because I want to make 2 main points here. One is that in addition to pure cricketing skills and numbers, we need to think about where South Africans have faltered in the past, and that's dealing with pressure. The IPL is probably the only tournament in world cricket where, apart from international cricket, where you literally have a full stadium for 76 days, and that exposure is unparalleled. You talk to any cricketer about the importance of being able to play and perform in those conditions, it is unparalleled. You talk about Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes attributed his success to in the World Cup final last year to the IPL. He said that Jos Buttler came back a better player. England started using Jos Buttler as an opener in T20I cricket after he was promoted to opening for the Rajasthan Royals. So there is something to be said for the sort of roles that batsmen are given in the IPL and that they can take to the international T20I sides as well.
You see, it's interesting because what Lobabale actually said is, from my perspective of what I've taken from the conversation, is that it's not just the stats that we look at. There's other factors involved with the player that you need to look at, and it's how he scores his runs, for example, how he performs under pressure, how does he perform in the power play, what does he do when the team is 3 down, 4 down, how does he change his game, is his game adaptable? I mean, there's something over here that Kobus said in the comment section over here, which is very interesting. I mean, he said, Cricket Fanatics, please show this. He said it like 7 million times. So thanks a lot, Kobus, for saying it in the comments. Thanks for doing the research for us. But he says Ben Stokes averages 17 in T20I cricket and he scored 100 today against the Mumbai Indians bowling attack. Does this mean that his T20I stats mean nothing and he shouldn't play? That's a very interesting discussion because what we can see in the T20I cricket, like Aaron's, I don't know who said it, but some people get rested sometimes with regards to the T20I cricket. Aditya said so. He said that sometimes players sit back and they're like, nah, we don't really want to play T20s. We want to get rested for that particular time. We saw it with the Proteas as well, where they gave Riza and John Smuts an opportunity against India when they were down here as opening batsmen in the T20 series. We can see that some of the major players get sit back. So their averages won't be as great with regards to T20 international cricket. So then how do you judge this now? Because obviously you only have T20 tournaments to to take into account. And I think what Lubabalo was saying is you look at the international stats, plus you look at other stats as well, and see how they perform in certain positions. But Lubabalo, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to first defend Temba before I get into what Kuba said. Temba has scored 199 runs in 146 balls. He has a strike rate of 136.30, opening the batting in T20 cricket. I can tell you now, if you're betting with a guy like Quinton de Kock, that's good. It's good enough. Definitely good enough. With what Kuba said, Ben Stokes is an all-rounder. He doesn't just offer his batting abilities, and his T20 strike rate is 13.4, which is it's a good strike rate. It goes back to what I said. What do you expect from your, let's say, your top 6 batsmen in T20 cricket? Do you look at their averages or do you look at their strike rate? Because T20 cricket is about rapid scoring. T20 cricket is about scoring quickly. So for me personally, I think the first thing that you look at is it's the strike rate. Before you even go to things like the average and things like that. So that's why I said you look at how a player scores his runs, how quickly he scores his runs, and when he scores his runs. And then last thing on Temba, I think he's one of the few guys that have shown that they can actually cope with pressure. There's no amount of pressure beyond the pressure that comes with trying to save a test match or pulling your team back into the match in a test match. We've seen Temba has done that. What AD said, I personally don't think we crumble under pressure because of the number of people around. It's for me, it's two things. It's our approach in big matches. I think we sort of approach big matches, especially in World Cups. We approach World Cup matches differently. You look at how a guy like Quinton bats in a normal series, just a bilateral series, and then compare with how he bats in a World Cup, you'll see the difference. It's not necessarily having a crowd around you, but it's the fact that they probably think too much about it being a World Cup. I don't want to make mistakes and things like that. In our last podcast, I said in World Cup, South Africans go in with a mentality of not trying to win, but trying not to lose. Those things might sound the same, but they're different. There's a difference between trying to win a match and trying not to lose a match. So for me, that's the big thing. That's why we crumble under pressure. That's why we make the smallest of mistakes, because we're thinking too much about not making mistakes. We're focusing more on trying not to make mistakes instead of focusing more on trying to execute our plans and trying to execute our skills. So for me, that's the biggest problem that we have in World Cups. It's almost like when a ball is hit to you in the air, we sort of think, I need to dismiss the batsman. But the first thing is you still need to get to the ball first. The processes, we sort of forget the processes because we focus too much on the result. And everything in cricket needs to go step by step. Catching a ball, there's steps to catching a ball. Taking a catch or saving a boundary, there's steps. But if your focus is on the last result and trying to avoid a certain thing, then you end up skipping certain steps. And once that happens, then you fail to execute your plans.
Okay, so I'm going to go. That was excellent points. I think, guys, that deserves a subscribe. So click that subscribe button, click the notification bell for all future videos. And guys, I'm going to go around the room, starting from the top to the bottom. Everybody, just give your final points on what you would like to leave the fans with. So Aaron, let's start with you.
I don't really have anything to leave with, to be honest. I'm just looking forward to the series. I'll just give a final prediction. I might as well. Because I'm in my England shirt, I'll go 2-1 for both of the series. But I think it's going to be a fantastic series. As we keep on mentioning, there's going to be plenty of superstars, plenty of young players to watch out for. I'm really, really looking forward to this, not only from an English perspective, but also from a South African. We've mentioned plenty of good names who can come through the ranks and really make a name for themselves in this series in both formats. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. And for anyone who's tuned in for tonight's podcast, yeah, cool. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it.
think all in all, irrespective of what selections take place, I do hope that it's a competitive, hard-fought, and nail-biting series, so that all the viewers who've been starved of cricket all these months get to see some international cricket. And I do hope that both teams are in a better place to decide the best 11 the best 15 that they can take to the World Cup, because I don't think either team would want to be in that situation where they're left more confused at the end of the series about who they should take to the World Cup. So I hope both teams are in a better place at the end of the series. But all in all, I'm sure it's going to be a competitive series. I'm sure it's going to be a great series, and I look forward to watching it.
Twins?
Yeah, look, also don't have too much to really say, but I think we are very curious as to the chosen squad will be. So I'm really looking forward to see who they decide is going to play against England. And yeah, I also look forward to the game, and I just look forward to the whole experience as well, specifically everybody coming out of, lockdown and everything. So I think, I'm just looking forward to the entire match and everything. So I think it will be really exciting to watch, especially because we didn't have so much cricket for so long. So yeah. But specifically the squad, I look forward to seeing who they decide is the squad.
Chosen ones.
The chosen ones.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're not going to both say something, only one of you? A spokesperson?
No,
Is that a combined? Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. That's awesome. I just want to ask you one question. With regards to our bowlers, who do you think out of those, if we're going to pick, for example, if you have a choice between two of those fast bowlers, between Andrich Nokia, KG Rabada, Lungi, Ngidi, which two would you pick as your first on the team sheet?
Okay, Rabada first.
Definitely Rabada and Norkia. Nothing against Ngidi, but I think the two names that jumped into my mind was Rabada and Norkia, I think.
But hopefully Ngidi gets a chance to
Yeah.
also show himself as well.
Yeah, it's difficult to choose because you like all of them. But
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I wanted to ask you something difficult. Thank you. Lububalo, what about you?
For me, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say I'm looking forward to watching the T20 series because I struggle to finish a T20 match. So I'm more looking forward to seeing the squad. That's one thing I'll be paying close attention to, because like I said earlier on, the two squads selected, they're gonna tell us the direction that the new convener of selectors and the coaches want to take. So for me personally, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. I'll try and watch the T20 matches. I'll try and finish them. I'm not promising, but yeah. And the last thing, remember to like, share, and subscribe.
I don't have to say anything more. Guys, you heard what Lubabalo said. Everything is in the description for you to do all of those things. You can obviously click the notification bell for all those things. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the show. We really enjoyed this. Let us know if you want to see shows like this more. We have so many panelists on the show, because I really enjoyed the dynamic of the year. It was really great. I really had fun. Let me know in the comments after this video is done. You can put your comments in the comment section below if you really enjoyed it and if you want to see more of this. Thanks a lot to everybody. Good luck, Aaron, to you and your team for this particular series. I really hope that it's going to be an exciting one for the both of us, because it's preparation for that massive tournament, which I hope South Africa can finally get over the line for. So thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks a lot, subscribes and all of those type of things. And we'll see you guys again very, very soon for the weekly show, as we got what Lubabalo never told you guys to do, and this is something that you'll get in his next one, is to please subscribe to the magazine. So click on the link on the screen, add in the description, become a subscriber of the magazine. You'll also get our weekly newsletter, which comes out on a Monday with that as well. So become a part of the family, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care.